story is about a girl who has heard about a flower which she has never seen, and the whole story is where she is looking and finding ways through which she can see the flower, and she's obsessed with it. So one part of the story is somewhere towards the middle, where she has already heard about the flower and she's been asking everyone, and no one seems to. Everyone has a different story connected to the flower, and no one really uh, can give her a definitive way of how she can see it, find it. So that evening, Anjali was helping her mother fill water. Summer had arrived, and now that water came only once in 3 days. Every kuppy, every dabba, every bucket had to be filled. Between rushing to the tap with an empty dabba and dragging back a full one, Anjali asked her mother, Aya, Gular no phool dekhi jesu? Have you seen the Gular phool? Her mother smiled. No, hardly anyone has seen it. It blooms for a very short time before it turns into a fruit. They say it's very beautiful, but very difficult to see. Once, when I was young in our village, in the month of Kartik, they said the Gular flower had bloomed. But, interrupted Anjali, Sanish said it can be seen on Magh Purnima. Did she? What does she know? It blooms in Kartik Purnima. We sat under a tree staring at the branches for so long that I went to sleep. When I woke up, the others said they had seen the flower. The moon shone on it and it was beautiful. But I didn't see it. Who saw it? How did it look? Array, many said they saw it, but each described it differently. Some said it was pink and small. Some said red and very big. Others said it was white and shining like a star in the moonlight. So maybe no one really saw it. But I want to see it, Anjali said, sticking her chin out. You will if you're lucky. I want to see it now, said Anjali, stamping her feet. Once something gets stuck in your head, it won't go away, will it? Aya said, getting impatient. Go fill this cookie with water. And Anjali ran off to the tap to fill. So, this book actually is a part of a long story. This book has come out of actually a longer story that I had written somewhere in 2008 or 9, I think, almost 10 years back. And this story was based on my interaction with one child that I knew very well, and at that point, this was also a community that I was interacting a lot with, and we and so most of what is in the book is actually the a part of the lives that they lead every day, and these are people. This child. Along with all the hardships that come, and along with all the things that she has to deal with as a child, as every child, she there is a curiosity, there is a way to find, there is a mischief, there is always something that goes on in the internal mind of a child, along with everything that that any child has to do on a day to day basis. This child is from the Paardhi community, and there is a certain context to her life, which is that there is always, apart from the fact that the conditions of living are very impoverished, there is also always the danger of her and her family being picked up by the police, constantly being questioned or being rounded up for any crime that happens in the city, because Paardhis belong to the denotified tribes, and which the police also calls the criminal tribes, which they're not supposed to, but that is how they've been branded. And so, while the reality in many ways is very harsh, there's also um, the childhood that and the child's mind that finds its own way to entertain itself. And so there are these two parallel things going on, and I think that is where the story came from. unfortunately, the child that the story was inspired by is no longer with us. She passed away uh, a few years after the story was written, but I hope sort of it keeps her alive for me, and it's also I hope that it can reach out to more and more people, and people can connect with her as a child, and also they can connect with the realities of her life also, and for us to understand that while each person is a child, there are so many different childhoods that people have to live, and not everyone is privileged in the same way that most of us think that we are, and how we are also in some ways complicit in the hardships that some of the other people have to le- have to deal with. So I think this is a story like this, I hope, does both.